Hello, welcome to this week's vlog. It is February 1st, and I have started to read Where They Found Her. I was completely wrong about this being young adult. It is not young adult, it is adult mystery thriller, and I'm almost finished with it. I'm really enjoying it. It is very, very dark. But I think I'm going to end up liking this one. As for Valor, I have not picked it back up yet. And I have a few more other books that I am considering reading next, but I haven't made any decisions yet. Liking this one, don't know what I'm going to read next. Alright, see you in my next update. Hey guys, checking in. It is day 2. I did finish Where They Found Her, and I have to say I wasn't a huge fan of the ending, but I liked the rest of the book, and it had nothing to do with the twist, but it was just, well, somewhat to do with the twist. I just thought it ended on a really weird note. Like, why did we have to go there? But I'll talk about more of that in my wrap-up. And I was saying that I had no idea what I was going to read next and forgot Mistborn, The Final Empire is going to be next because I'm doing my Sanderson read-along. I am about 100 pages into it. It is a reread for me. I am thoroughly enjoying it. So I will update you guys when I get a bit further in that, and I'm not reading anything else right now. Trying to give my brain just a little bit of a break because of the last few weeks I've had. But I will check in and let you know how my reread is going and then update you guys when I start something else. Bye! Alright, an update for you guys. I am about 200 pages into Mistborn, The Final Empire, and I love Mistborn. It is so good, and if you guys haven't read Mistborn, I highly recommend it. One of the best fantasy trilogies out there. Sanderson's writing is just so great. But what I wanted to update you guys on is the fact that I downloaded an audio of These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong, and it was really good. I'd been wanting to read it for a little bit, and I love Shakespeare. We talked about that in a couple of videos, and the fact that this is a Romeo and Juliet retelling is quite amazing to me. Set in 1920s Shanghai. So much going on in that book. And there is a little bit of body horror that I wasn't prepared for in These Violent Delights, but I'm very excited for the next book because of where this one ended. Like, there are some real ties into Romeo and Juliet, and I feel like I know where the book is going, but I'm also like, oh, like, where are we going with this? But it has been really, really awesome. Now, I haven't started another book yet because I'm trying to get through Hall of Smoke, and I am now about 40% through it. And I need to get onto the arcs that I have because I'm really behind. But I do think the next book that I'm going to pick up is going to be The Fire Sermon. And then when I'm finished with Mistborn, I am going to try and read 77 Shadow Street. But those might be in my next vlog because got a lot going on. I have plans to take my son on an outing, and I'll try and give you guys a little clip of that. And then I also have Super Bowl Sunday coming up, so we'll see how far I can get in my reading. And I usually record on Saturdays, so we'll see. We'll see how far I get, and let you guys know what is going on in my final thoughts and wrap up. Bye.
That was very orange speedy.
Alrighty, here we are for the wrap up and my final thoughts. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot to talk about this week because I am still dealing with the issues that I have been dealing with for a couple of weeks now with insomnia, all that stuff. And I read one whole book and listened to one whole book. Not good, guys, not good. But I'm not going to beat myself up about it. I've dealt with these issues, like I said, my whole life, and I know that I will kick it into high gear as soon as all of this stuff calms down. So let's get into the one TBR 10 book that I did finish, and that would be Where They Found Her by Kimberly McCreet. This was, okay, so I had said that this was young adult in my TBR 10 video. When I purchased this, I found it in the young adult section of the clearance racks, so I think it was just misplaced. And I have been trying to try young adult thrillers and horror to see what the difference is in the genres, because many times with adult thrillers, I feel like a lot of what is in them is in there for shock value. And then horror, what do you do with a young adult horror? I'm just very, very intrigued to see what young adult does with the particular genres, just because usually what's horrifying in thrillers and in horror is pretty adult content type stuff. So just very intrigued. But this, however, was not young adult. And I enjoyed most of this book. So we were headed straight for a 4-star, and I ended up giving it a 3.5. I can't tell you why I gave it a 3.5 because it would spoil the ending, but there is a trope which lies within that crops up towards the end of this book, and it just rubbed me the wrong way. Like, why did we have to go there? That was not anything that really needed to happen, and it did nothing to advance the story. It was just more shock value stuff that I don't like finding that in mystery thrillers. I do like great twists, but does it have to be to the detriment of the characters involved? I don't understand why that has to happen in many mystery thrillers. So when I started reading this, again, I had thought it was young adult, but I found it to be a lot darker than what I had anticipated. So if you're going to pick this up, there's a lot going on in here as far as sexual assault and mentions of sexual assault, possible pedophilia from what you can garner from what is being said. It's not outright in the novel, but I mean, there's just a lot of stuff going on in here, and it starts with a dead baby. So many trigger warnings. However, Kimberly McCreate's writing is very good. I was very entranced the whole time I was reading it, just because her writing style was captivating. And most of what's in here is not necessarily shock value as much as this is a horrific story. Like, you can't hardly imagine the events of this story going down, yet we know in real life that they do. And there were some really harsh depictions of parenting and being a child raised in a very strict home. There is mental illness that is being dealt with in this as well, mentions of suicide. So anyway, I just want to say this book is very dark and very good until a major twist at the ending, which I feel like threw off the entire feel of the novel itself. So I would recommend it if you are into dark thrillers. I would recommend it if you like getting into any kind of darker aspects of the human mind. But I can't recommend it for everyone because there are so many trigger warnings in it. However, I did enjoy it, just didn't like the final twist in the book. Okay, so the other book that I listened to this month was These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. And it is a Romeo and Juliet retelling set in 1920s Shanghai. There is a war brewing, and not just between the warring factions of these gangs, but also with the communist regime. And the characters of Roma and Juliet are hellbent on working together to solve this communist problem. However, there's a monster, a legit monster plaguing Shanghai. And while Roma and Juliet keep trying to find common ground, they also keep pushing each other away. And, you know, it is very reminiscent of Romeo and Juliet. There are a lot of ties into the story. There's a lot of ties into the major plot points in Romeo and Juliet. And I loved it. I really loved it. Now, These Violent Delights does have a continuation. I do think it's going to be a duology. And so you're only getting half the story. So be prepared for that. But I did like the way it ended. It was very cliffhanger-esque, but also wrapped up well. And I'm very excited to get to the next one. So I did give this book 4 stars, solid 4 stars. The writing is good. And the world building was actually more than I anticipated from a young adult novel, but I found it to be very intriguing. There are so many things that are explored in this setting that I found to be just amazingly well put together. And like I said, I'm excited for the next one. So I don't remember when it releases, but I'm ready to get it. Okay, and for the other book that I am reading, Mistborn: The Final Empire. This is a reread for me. I do love this book. I am considering going back and giving this book a 5 stars, even though I'm like 200 pages into it, because I love it that much. And I know that my wanting to go back and give this 5 stars is because this is nostalgic for me now. And I'm just so excited to be back in this world with Vin and Kelsier, and I love it. I really, really do. Now, I wanted to touch on a subject. So this has not made my favorites list in any videos that you've seen. And the reason why is because when I hit my reading slump, which you guys have heard about, I didn't finish The Hero of Ages. Is that the final book? I think it is. And so I missed the final reveal, and I know what it is. I've been spoiled for it. But I'm just like, oh, well, I don't know how I feel about that. And so I want to read the final book in this series again, because I ended up DNFing that book kind of on accident. I wasn't because I wasn't enjoying it. I was just got tired of reading. And so that is why Mistborn has not made a favorite list of mine yet. But in April, we will find out if this is going to take down one of my favorites on my top 10. Okay, so for the books that will be coming up on my TBR 10, I did already mention that I will be picking up The Fire Sermon by Francesca Haig. This is dystopian. Very excited to be getting into this because it's an adult dystopian, and I really am intrigued by the whole alpha and omega aspect of this. I really think that this is going to be a dystopian that pulls me in with the story, as opposed to follows this dystopian formula that we all have come to know and expect. And I'm really excited to start this trilogy. Hopefully I really like this one, and then I can move on to the next 2, because I'm still looking for a dystopian that I can glom onto, like I did in with the Hunger Games when it first released, which, man, that was a long time ago. But anyway, like, I really like this genre, and I'm really liking sci-fi. So I'm hoping there will be one that I love, that I can sing its praises. And I will be reading Red Rising eventually this year. But for now, The Fire Sermon. And I am going to pick up Dean Koontz's 77 Shadow Street. This book was on my lowest rated books on my TBR for January, and then I didn't get around to finishing it, or starting it even. So I moved it to my February TBR, and I haven't read any good reviews on this book, but it's Dean Koontz. I do really like Dean Koontz, so I wanted to give it a shot and see what I felt about it, because underrated books aren't always something I hate. So we'll see, right? All right, and that is my wrap up and final thoughts, and I will see you guys in my next video. Like, subscribe, do all the fun things, and I will see you later.